What up, fam? I'm Spark, your team and stage leader, here to wish y'all a happy Halloween. I kid, of course. It's just me, Tanner. Welcome back to Tanner's Books and Beyond, and welcome back to the final installment of Undead October. Man, these gloves are really making my hands sweaty. I'm gonna take them off for this. Now, I know that this event has had a few hiccups, but I was still able to salvage it and make good on the promise I made in my previous update. So I'm here today with a review of iZombie Volume 1 and Volume 2. Now, iZombie is a Vertigo comic written by Chris Robertson with art by Mike Allred. And you might be thinking that it's similar to the CW series that premiered a few years ago, but really the two of them do not have much in common at all. The only mainstay between the show and the series is that the main character is a zombie who needs to eat brains in order to retain her humanity, and in doing so she gains the memories of those brains and uses them to solve the victim's murders. And that's where the similarities end. The main character of the iZombie comic is a girl named Gwen Dillon who works as a gravedigger so that she has access to brains. Her two best friends are a mod ghost from the 60s named Ellie and a were-terrier named Scott, who she likes to affectionately call Spot. The three of them live in Eugene, Oregon and are basically each other's only friends because they're the only supernatural creatures that have managed to find each other, or so they think. Unbeknownst to them, there are several other supernatural parties that have begun moving forward in their own schemes. There's a vampire sorority who are trying to use their entrepreneurial skills in order to get the blood they need without actually killing people. There's your requisite group of monster hunters, the Fosor group, one of whom, Horatio, has begun a romance with Gwen, not realizing that she's actually undead. Then there's the mysterious and ancient mummy Amon, who, despite his dark past, seems to be on the side of good and is trying to bond with Gwen over their shared undeath, and also possibly use her help to avert the end of the world. And to complicate things even further, the more brains that Gwen eats of other people, the more she loses her own memories, so not only has she forgotten her family, but she's actually forgotten the way she died. And actually, there is one other thing it has in common with the TV show, that being that all of these different subplots start out completely separate from another, but over time they slowly begin to interweave and tangle up, and everyone begins to reveal their connections to everyone else. Everything just tangles together and starts to swirl in like this whirlpool of plot that all comes together in a single Eye of the Storm climax, or at least I assume so. I'm only halfway through the series with these two volumes. So yes, the plotting is excellent, and the characters are very well done too. But the one thing that I really like above all else is the artwork. I'm gonna do my best to show you guys stuff from the comic book. This is like the signature style of Michael Allred. He has a really chic, like 50s and 60s retro style that really lends itself well to the plot. You've probably recognized his work in other stuff like Ecstatics or the more recent FF or Silver Surfer. Honestly, I'm enjoying his artwork so much that I'm considering picking those up, even though before I really didn't care about them at all. So as I mentioned before, I'm about halfway through the series. The first two volumes are entitled Dead to the World and You Vampire, and there are two other trade paperbacks after this. I think there's also an omnibus that collects all the comics, and of course all of the little one-shots and side stories that have popped up throughout the run as well also are collected in the various trade paperbacks, and I would assume that everything else comes together in the omnibus as well. Overall, I really enjoyed the comic, and you know, whether you like the show or not is kind of irrelevant to whether you enjoy it as well, because they're so completely different. It's almost to the point that you could possibly make a TV adaptation of the comics right now and just change the name, and it would be able to stand on its own two legs. In fact, that's something I'd like to see. I mean, maybe not right now, but perhaps in a few years after iZombie has finished its run and then you'll let a few years to things to sit, then possibly I would love to see someone do a more faithful adaptation to the comics, because they're completely different beasts, and both of them are very well done. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of Undead October. What have we learned over this month? We learned that just because Stephen King is reviving the dead doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be zombies. We learned that zombie children are the future, and if you teach them well, they will lead the way. We learned that some people still don't understand how the Westermark effect works, and we learned that even if you get lost in adaptation, you can still find your way to something successful. And that's it! October's almost done, which means Halloween is here, right now! Y'all better get your butts out there and get yourselves some candy, and until next time, I'll see you all... I'll see you later.